Ryan Farrell joins me. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. You are a survivor of traumatic brain injury, and you're from Hopedale.
Yes.
And you have an amazing story. So let's start there. Tell us your story.
Well, I sustained my traumatic brain injury coming up on 6 years ago on April 18, 2010. I had about 3 weeks left in my freshman year at my college, and I was performing with my cheerleading team at a fundraising exhibition at the local mall. I was one of the bases, so one of the girls on the side of on the bottom side of the stunt, holding the foot of the smaller one in the air. And our flyer, she bailed out of the stunt and fell to the side, her rear end hitting me in my chest, causing me to fall back down to my own rear end. As I was down on the ground, I was approached by my coach, who told me to get back up and stop making such a scene. So, of course, I did as my coach instructed me to, and continued to perform. A short time later, I collapsed and did not regain consciousness. I was then rushed to the local hospital, and I was brought right into emergency surgery. My mom had received a phone call from the school just saying, "Oh, your daughter's over at St. Francis Hospital. You have to go pick her up." Mind you, my home in Hopedale is 3.5 hours away from my school in New York. Needless to say, my mother and sister, who was just finishing up her senior year of college, they made it to New York in record time.
It's a horrible drive for a parent.
Needless to say.
Wow.
Yeah, and just as my mom was not too far away from actually arriving at my school, her phone rings again, only this time it's my life-saving neurosurgeon. He quickly introduced himself and then said, "I'm going in to operate, but do not know if I'm going to be able to save her life. She also has a collapsed lung and a broken neck."
Oh.
So a few days after the injury, I was rushed back into emergency surgery because there was too much swelling on my brain. So an emergency craniotomy had to be performed, removing the bone flap from my head and then storing it inside my abdomen so my body could essentially harvest it while my brain could swell without becoming further bruised.
Wow.
And I spent a total of 1 month in the ICU, 2 weeks of which I was in a medically induced coma. I was then transferred to Spalding Rehab Hospital right here in Boston to begin my many weeks and months of inpatient physical, occupational, and speech therapies. Upon my arrival there, the head physiatrist called a meeting with my parents, and after introducing himself by saying, "I have been studying the brain for many, many years," and basically saying he was the brain smarty pants know-it-all. "I have been studying the brain for many, many years, and I have looked at all your daughter's CAT scans and all the reports, and she is so severely injured that at best, at the very best, she will only ever be able to walk with a walker."
Oh.
So talk about adding fuel to my rehab fire. Like, I used that, and I just found out that when I heard what he had said, when I heard the death sentence he handed down, I just said, "I'll prove him wrong. I will prove him dead wrong."
You said no.
I said no. I said I will not accept that death sentence, and I'll prove him wrong. I will prove everybody wrong.
You have. You didn't walk in here with a walker.
No. Haven't seen a walker since when I was finally released from Spalding after 11 weeks there. I was moved to this incredible rehab center up in New Hampshire called Crotchet Mountain Rehab. A few days after that, I was brought back down to Boston to have the final operation on my brain to move the bone flap out of my abdomen and put her back inside her rightful home in my head. And I returned to Crotchet after only a few physical therapy sessions. I was out of my wheelchair and using a walker. Only a very short while of using my walker, I just looked at my physical therapist and I said, "Get that piece of metal away from me. I never want to see one of those things ever again." And I haven't looked at one of those disgusting hunks of metal since, and don't plan on it ever.
How did you get that injury and not realize, your neck was broken?
Yeah,
a collapsed lung. How did you not feel that?
Well, I because of my injury, the most severely impacted cognitive facet of my that was impacted is my memory. I cannot remember a month before, the month leading up to my injury, so I cannot remember the day of my injury, but just girls on my team have told me, girls who are in my stunt group at the same time. It ended up being one of the doctors in the ICU equated it to, Natasha Richardson.
Yep.
Her accident happened when she was skiing, and she went back to her
right.
hotel room, and the next morning she was gone. And it's pretty much the equivalent of shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky, not only that I'm alive, but every day I can get out of bed by myself, and I don't need any assistance. I can breathe in and breathe out, open my eyeballs. It's a good day. It's a great day to be alive. Isn't that how the song goes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, talk about your work with is it the Traumatic Brain
Injury Association of Massachusetts. Yeah. Well, as soon as I found out what had happened to me, and it could actually stick in my brain, and I didn't forget what had been told to me, I just said, well, this stinks. Like, this is awful, but what can I do to make it better? How can I turn my negative into a positive? So I just started using my my college skills, and I started researching, and I found that the Brain Injury Association of Massachusetts has an incredible program. It's called the Think Ahead Prevention Program for teens and young adults, and through that program, I became a survivor speaker. So more recently, I presented my first speech not even 13 months after my injury in May of 2011. And since then, I've presented to numerous groups of the at-risk teens and young adults. More recently, because sports concussions and TBIs are finally getting some of the media coverage that they have needed for so long, the MIAA has made it mandatory that all student athletes, along with at least one parent and their coaches and trainers, have to complete it's called our Heads Up Concussion Awareness Program. So I've spoken through there at many different high schools, middle schools, and even some college classes too. And it's just, in my opinion, that's the best form of therapy. It's just a part of my continued healing process, because once you're brain injured, you are brain injured for life. It's not like a broken leg where you can just strap a cast on it and go to physical therapy and have it be all better, good as new. Once you're brain injured, you are always brain injured. But I've found that presenting my speeches and just volunteering through the Brain Injury Association has been the biggest part of my ongoing recovery process, and it's what has gotten me this far.
And you're not just helping yourself, but I would imagine you're helping thousands locally who are dealing with this. Do you travel as well?
I do. I travel within the state, and like I said, I've testified at the State House right in town on a few different occasions. And the month of March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. I'm not sure if you are aware of that, but during that month, we will be going into town at the State House, just pushing the passage of more bills, whether it's to do with cognitive rehabilitation bill, which I testified on a few months ago, or just the dire need for stricter rules and regulations, especially in regards to the youth athletics and sports. And it's not and that's what I so appreciate about the film Concussion.
Right. Big movie, opened a lot of eyes.
Yeah, And the NFL was terrified of it.
Of course.
Of course. And on a sort of a side note, Will Smith was so totally snubbed.
I would think so. I mean, I didn't see the movie.
In the movie, like, for the Oscars anyway, I think a lot of that comes right down to people are afraid. They're afraid of the truth.
Yeah.
And the NFL was clearly not happy about it because the film does a really great job in depicting the NFL as they really are.
Sure.
They don't put a shiny, glossy coat on them like how we see every Sunday where it's just like, oh, hoorah, like, let's go out there and such great, just great things all around. And
there are more penalties now, though, I've noticed.
Yes.
That they are being a little bit more careful.
They are.
When somebody's spearheading somebody those helmets collide, they're being a little bit more careful. They need to. I mean, there's no hiding it anymore.
Yes, and a big part of the film was Dr. Amalu. He was a forensic pathologist, and he was doing an autopsy on a deceased NFL player who was only in his he was only in his 50s. Oh. And he saw when doing the autopsy, especially when he was examining the brain, that the years and years of wear and tear on his brain, the different hits and everything like that, it was killing him from the inside out. And it was so very, it was just very real, and it was so very touching and eye-opening, definitely eye-opening.
I played football in the late 80s in high school, and nobody really thought much about it.
Of course not.
My friend got a concussion once, and it was scary. I remember it being very scary.
And back in the day, it was just, you got your bell rung.
Yeah, that's it.
You got your bell rung. All right, kid, we'll throw an ice pack on your head, give you some water, and then you'll be out for the next quarter.
Right.
And it's
And your work with the Brain Injury Association of Massachusetts is very important, but you also have a personal blog.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Which must just touch thousands and, if not millions, because it's out there on the World Wide Web. And there's so many people that are dealing with this issue, whether it's the person that's dealing with it like yourself or family and friends.
Especially my family, I do not know what I would have done. I have no idea where I would be without my family, especially in my situation. It's really family first and forever, above everything.
You also have a lot to say about your sorority.
Yes.
They were
not just my immediate family, but my Greek family as well. My sorority sisters, Alpha Sigma Tau sorority, they were huge in my recovery, and we have done different fundraisers to benefit not only the Brain Injury Association of Mass and Crotchet Mountain, which was that final rehab center I was at, but also just to raise awareness on campus and throughout the community. And it's just slow and steady, right?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Do you think that support system really helped move you even further along than most without a support system?
Oh, 100. I know. I don't just think. I know for certain. If I didn't have my immediate family and my extended family, like aunts and uncles and cousins and grandpa, without my sorority sisters and the entire Greek life on campus at my school, I don't know where I would be. I do not believe that I would have felt comfortable returning to school after everything happened. And I really don't think my parents would have been too comfortable with shipping me back 3.5 hours away if I didn't have that backbone, that support system.
Did they stay close when they first sent you back? They must have been very nervous to send you back.
My mom, she stayed at a hotel just 2 minutes down the road for the first 2 weeks of my return. But when I returned to school, I didn't just return with my sorority family. I was set up with the Office of Special Services for all of my academic needs and counseling services, and they became my surrogate mothers and aunts and my academic advisor. We were close before, but after my injury, our bond only grew even stronger, and it takes teamwork.
Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings is teamwork is dream work. And that's just one of my many Ryanisms. One of my many, many, many Ryanisms.
So you graduated last May.
I did, only 1 year behind when I was supposed to. Thank you very much.
That's great.
Thank you.
And you graduated TV and radio broadcasting with a BA in that.
Yep. Communications, concentration, and radio, TV, film. Good morning, America. I'm Ryan Farrell. You heard it here first, folks.
She's auditioning, folks. She's auditioning. And have you worked in radio yet? Have you had a chance? You interned somewhere, didn't you?
I completed my senior year internship at Town Square Media of the Hudson Valley, which was so convenient, too, because it was not even 5 minutes up the street from my school. And I had such a great experience there. Not just with my fellow interns, but also I became extremely close with Beth Christie, who is the main voice of The Wolf, which is Town Square's country station.
Yep.
And we became so incredibly close, and she was a huge part of why my senior year was so successful as well.
That's great.
And we stay in touch to this day.
It's nice to see young people so excited about radio these days. I mean, I fear for my job when I see somebody getting into radio, but it's great because radio, as you know, and you've probably learned, it's a lot different than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Definitely.
And it's changing, and jobs are consolidating.
Yep.
But it's nice to see somebody with a little bit of fire in them to keep radio alive.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you for, if the rest of your fellow DJs and other DJs across the state and country are anything like you, I think radio's in good shape.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Ryan, before we leave you, why don't you say a few words just about traumatic brain injury and what people should really know about it and how they can get more information?
Well, traumatic brain injury is more often than not referred to as the silent injury. A person can look totally normal and fine, but that is no indication of what he or she is dealing with on a daily basis. And that just goes right back to, do not judge a book by its cover. And even further than that, you don't know what battle someone is having every day. So before you judge someone because maybe they look a little different or their speech is a little slower or is more difficult for them in social situations, you do not know what he or she is facing on a daily basis. So before you jump to judgment, take a little time, take a step back, and put yourself in this person's shoes. And it's just, in hammering my point home even further about sports-related TBIs and concussions, student athletes, only you can be the judge of whether or not you are well enough to continue to perform. And coaches, do not do what my coach did. You have to treat every injury, especially even if it just looks like a bump to the noggin or getting your bell rung or your student athlete getting his or her bell rung. You need to treat every injury as if it could be the most severe injury possible. And and that's what I really appreciated about going back to the film Concussion. I really appreciated that we just think of football as the whole no pain, no gain mentality, just a bunch of big angry men cracking each other's helmets and everything like that. But it goes so much further than that. If you're not, you need to be so aware and spread that awareness. I'm making my mess my message. And just, if only one person listening carries on what I'm saying here and what you so graciously interviewed me on, then I've done what I set out to do.
Great.
So thank you very much.
Great.
I appreciate
where's
it.
the blog? How can people find the blog?
You can go to www.mindovermatter Rylyn, and I'll spell that out. It's RYRYLYNE.blogspot.com. That's a mouthful, I know. But
so what people call you, Ry?
Yeah, my middle name is Lynn. So just ever since I was little, it was always Ry.
Nice.
Instead of Ryan.
And Ryan Lynn is a great radio name, by the way.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Well,
is that what you're going to use?
You better believe it. comes from one of the pros. So if I wasn't thinking about using it before, I'm definitely going to use it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Great to meet
you. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for your story.
Great to meet you.